Why don't you ever call? When are you gonna find a nice job and settle down? Where were you? We were worried sick. Moms were never really out of reach from their blatant honesty and sharp reproach. The eyes they have behind their head seem to find us whenever we do anything wrong. We're going to talk about Mother's Day, the day when children everywhere of all ages reach for the phone or run to the pharmacy to find a clever and snappy greeting card to send. A time of year when florists can charge whatever they want, and Sunday brunch is by reservation only. But where did this celebration come from, and when did it start? And who was responsible? Hang in there as we start at the beginning and dive into the history of Mother's Day and the woman responsible for its creation. Back in the ancient world, Greece in particular, mothers were venerated as life-givers, and stories of deities were often connected to prayers of fertility. In ancient Greek lore, Rhea is the mother of all gods, known as Meter Theon, literally meaning mother of gods. Rhea was the mother of the 5 eldest Olympian gods, Zeus, Poseidon, Hades, Hera, and Demeter. When Zeus's father Kronos got wind that one of his children would overthrow him, he decided that he was going to eat each and every one of them as they came out of the womb. So he worked up an appetite and got to work, but Rhea had enough. As Zeus was born, she wrapped up a rock in a blanket and gave it to Kronos. He gobbled it up like a Thanksgiving turkey, not even realizing that the young lad was still alive. Of course, Zeus eventually grew up and overthrew Kronos, just like the prophecy said. What's important is that this wouldn't have happened without his mother protecting him. In ancient Greece, during the annual spring festival, Rhea was honored for her dedication to protecting her children in the face of the dark and brooding Titan and his insatiable desire to keep his power. The significance of motherhood is recognized in many of the world's religions. In the Roman Catholic tradition, there's a special place for Mary, the mother of Jesus. Often special services are held on Mother's Day, honoring the saints as well as mothers everywhere. In Islam, the Quran teaches that children should give priority to loving their mother over their father. In Hindu tradition, Mother's Day is called Mother Pilgrimage Fortnight and is celebrated in countries with a Hindu population, especially in Nepal, where mothers are honored with special foods. The holiday is observed on the month of the new moon in the month of April or May, and it predates the creation of the US-inspired celebration by at least a few centuries. The celebrations in America would have to wait a while. It wasn't until the 19th century when one woman stood up and made Mother's Day a holiday for all. It was the year 1876, in the small town of Grafton, West Virginia, that Anne Reeves Jarvis would attend the Andrews Methodist Episcopal Church as she faithfully did every Sunday. Anne was an active member of the community despite giving birth to 11 children. She served during the Civil War as a volunteer, tending to wounded soldiers. She wanted to create a Mother's Day for peace, where mothers around the country would ask that their husbands and sons would no longer be killed in wars. She also experienced great loss, with 7 of those children dying in childbirth or early childhood. Anne was a community activist, particularly busy in her local church. One Sunday morning, while Anne was teaching Sunday school, she closed the lesson with a prayer.
I hope and pray that someone, sometime, will found a memorial Mother's Day commemorating her for the matchless service she renders to humanity in every field of life. She is entitled to it.
Listening intently was Anne's 12-year-old daughter, Anna. Anna would hear this prayer and eventually grow up to found Mother's Day in honor of her mother's dedication and tribute to mothers everywhere. With her mother's encouragement, Anna Jarvis attended college. She received a diploma for completing 2 years of coursework at the Augusta Female Seminary in Staunton, Virginia, today known as Mary Baldwin University. Jarvis returned to Grafton to work in the public school system, joining her mother as an active church member. Anna then moved to Chattanooga, Tennessee, where she worked as a bank teller. After a year, she moved again, this time to Philadelphia, where she lived with her brother. Jarvis attained success while living in the city of brotherly love, taking a position at Fidelity Mutual Life Insurance Company, where she became the agency's first female literary and advertising editor. Anna never lost contact with her mother. The pair would frequently correspond through letters, keeping their connection with one another. When her mother's health began to decline, Anna encouraged her mother to move to Philadelphia so she could be better cared for by her family. On May 9, 1905, Anne Reeves Jarvis passed away, and her daughter Anna would set out to fulfill her mother's prayer, spoken many years earlier. On May 10, 1908, 3 years after her mother's death, Anna Jarvis held a very special memorial ceremony to honor her mother and all mothers at Andrews Methodist Episcopal Church in Grafton, West Virginia, her childhood church. The ceremony became the first official observance of Mother's Day. Although Jarvis did not attend this service, she sent a telegram describing the significance of the day and 500 white carnations for all who attended the service. The service was a large success and gained attention for the commemoration of mothers. By 1911, all U.S. states observed the holiday, with some of them officially recognizing Mother's Day as a local holiday. The first being West Virginia, Jarvis's home state, in 1910. In 1914, Woodrow Wilson signed a proclamation designating Mother's Day held on the second Sunday in May as a national holiday to honor mothers. Anna's aspiration to honor her mother and all mothers was now a tangible reality. Mother's Day was a smashing success. Her victory lap would be cut short as the momentum of the holiday would take a dark turn she never intended. By the 1920s, Hallmark and other companies began selling greeting cards for Mother's Day. The floral industry followed, increasing the prices of flowers around the time of the holiday. Confections were sold in greater volume as well, turning the symbolism around the holiday into a profit. Although Anna still felt like the holiday was hers, the suits quickly took over the management of the holiday, turning it into a money-making machine. Jarvis took great issue with the commercialization, which she felt robbed the holiday of its original intent of honoring your mother. Now, it was a profit-making endeavor which shamed those who didn't participate. Jarvis once said,
"A printed card means nothing except that you are too lazy to write to the woman who has done more for you than anyone in the world. And candy! You take a box to Mother and then eat most of it yourself. A petty sentiment."
Jarvis believed that the industry created around the holiday exploited the day for profit rather than lifting up moms for their sacrifices and accomplishments. As a woman of action, Jarvis would hardly take this lying down. She organized boycotts of Mother's Day and even threatened litigation, managing to create enemies within the industries who profited from her idea. She protested at a candy makers convention in Philadelphia in 1923, and 2 years later she protested at an event for the American War Mothers. Using the event to raise money angered Jarvis, and she raised such a stink that she was arrested for disturbing the peace. It seemed as though Jarvis was a figure to be reckoned with, and she wasn't going to stop. In 1943, she organized a petition to rescind Mother's Day altogether. The greeting card and floral people had enough. Since they couldn't shut her up, they decided to lock her up. She was sent to the Marshall Square Sanitarium, courtesy of the floral and greeting card industries. To ensure she stayed there, the industry giants paid the medical bills to keep her locked up. On May 24, 1948, Anna Jarvis passed away in the sanitarium. She was buried next to her mother, sister, and brother at West Laurel Hill Cemetery in Pennsylvania. Her passing was a tragedy, but her legacy left a beacon of hope for the recognition of moms and the bond they share with their children. Mother's Day is celebrated in many countries around the world, although each has their own tradition and unique way of honoring the special lady who brought them into this world. In France, in order to counteract the low birth rates, the nation attempted to institute a national celebration honoring mothers of large families. In 1906, mothers who had 9 children were given an award recognizing high maternal merit. The holiday was more inspired by anti-depopulation efforts than the U.S. holiday, however, and the French government made the day official in 1920 as a day for mothers of large families. In Japan, The first meeting of Praise Mothers was held on May 8, 1937, and in 1949, Japanese society adopted the second Sunday of May as the official date for Mother's Day. Today, people typically give their mothers gifts of flowers such as red carnations and roses. Other countries like Mexico, Nepal, India, Lithuania, Malawi, and many others all celebrate Mother's Day, or an equivalent commemorating their mothers. The recognition is universal and is all over the world. Hopefully, the Mother's Day you celebrate will represent the love and affection you may have for your mother in the same way that Anna Jarvis had hoped. It's not about the card or flowers you send, it's about the gratitude for the woman who raised you, or the mother figure in your life. Or maybe it's just about calling your mom once in a while, like now. Maybe you should call her.